We all want a great marriage, right? It's kind of like wanting to be healthy. You don't want to have to think about it all the time. You just want it to work. But when things aren't feeling quite right, that's when we start spinning these stories to ourselves, trying to explain why.
And those stories, they usually sound a little something like this. Or maybe, oh, we're just busy. This is totally normal. Or the big one, it'll get better when work calms down, when the kids are older, when we finally have more money. We build these narratives to make sense of that little bit of distance we're feeling.
But what if the answer wasn't waiting for us in some far-off future? This is where we got to talk about Dr. John Gottman, because his research is like this cold splash of water, but honestly in the most hopeful way possible. See, he says love isn't some big unsolvable mystery. Nope. He says love leaves patterns you can actually see and measure.
So in this explainer, we're going to walk through Gottman's blueprint. We'll kick things off with how love leaves patterns, then jump into the principles of friendship and how to navigate conflict. We'll look at getting out of gridlock, spot those 4 big relationship killers, and wrap it all up with a 7-day action plan you can literally start today.
All right, so where do we even begin? Well, interestingly, it's not about jumping in to fix all the fights. It's about starting with the foundation of the whole thing, the friendship. Gottman's first 3 principles are all about building up that core connection.
First up, Principle 1, build love maps. Now, this isn't about some grand, poetic knowledge of your partner. Think of it like a mental Google Maps of their world. It's your internal, up-to-date model of what's going on inside their head. What are they worried about this week? Who's that person at work driving them crazy right now? And here's the key. People are always changing. A new job, a loss, even a new hobby, it all changes them. And you really can't feel close to someone if you're working off an old map of who they used to be.
Okay, so building on that, let's get to Principle 2, nurturing fondness and admiration. You know, a lot of people think love dies because the spark just vanishes. But Gottman's research, it points to something else. Love dies when respect dies. It really comes down to the mental filter you're using. If your default setting is, my partner is selfish, then everything they do is going to look selfish. But if your filter is set to, my partner is really trying their best, that exact same action can look completely different. So, it's a huge question. What story are you telling yourself?
And that leads us to what might be the single most important principle, turning toward. Okay, so think about this. All day long, we make these little bids for connection. It can be something as small as a sigh from the other room, or pointing out a cute dog, or saying, man, I'm nervous about that meeting tomorrow. Every single one of those is a tiny invitation. And you've got 3 ways to respond. You can turn toward them with some interest, you can turn away by just ignoring it, or you can turn against them with irritation. The thing is, happy couples aren't perfect at this. They just turn toward each other way more often. It's in those tiny, seemingly boring 5-second moments that trust gets built.
Okay, so once that foundation of friendship is solid, then we can start talking about the thing that's bound to happen, conflict. And listen, the goal here is not to get rid of conflict entirely. That's impossible. The goal is to shift from feeling like you're in a power struggle to feeling like you're on the same team, even when you disagree.
This brings us to Principle 4. Let your partner influence you. Now, this doesn't mean you just give in or lose your own voice. Not at all. It's about sharing power. It means you start treating your marriage less like a debate you have to win and more like a team that has to figure things out together. And this is so important because a ton of fights aren't even about the thing you're fighting about. They're about one person feeling like their opinion just got completely dismissed. When you're open to being influenced, you're basically saying, I respect you. I hear you.
All right, next up is Principle 5, solve your solvable problems. And there is a secret weapon for this, and it's called the soft startup. I mean, just look at the difference here. When you start harsh with a bunch of blame, you immediately put your partner on the defensive. The conversation is basically dead on arrival. But a soft startup, that's totally different. You start with your feelings, describe the situation without pointing fingers, and then you state what you need. It's an invitation to solve a problem together, not a call to battle.
But look, sometimes things escalate anyway, right? And when they do, your body can literally get flooded. What that means is once your heart rate gets over about 100 beats per minute, your brain's ability to listen, think clearly, and work together just shuts down. You are physically in fight or flight mode, and at that point, the only useful thing you can do is take a break. And it's not a punishment, it's a physiological reset. Give it 20 minutes, let your body calm down, and then you can actually come back and have a real conversation.
So we've talked about solvable problems, but what about the ones that just never seem to go away? The reality is, a lot of couples have the same core fight over and over again for years. Gottman calls these perpetual problems. And the big mindset shift here is that the goal isn't to solve them, it's to understand the dreams that are hidden deep inside those fights.
This is principle 6. Overcome gridlock. And gridlock is that feeling. You know the one where you're just trapped, having the exact same argument again. When you're stuck there, the fight is almost never about the thing you think it's about. It's not about the money or the chores. It's about a deeper dream that isn't being said out loud. Maybe one person's dream of security is crashing into the other's dream of adventure. So the work here isn't to win the argument, it's to get curious. Instead of asking, why are you so stubborn about this? You have to start asking, hey, what does this really mean to you? Help me understand.
And that brings us to the final principle, which really ties everything together: creating shared meaning. A strong marriage, a great one, isn't just two people living separate lives that happen to be under the same roof. It's about two people who are intentionally building something together, creating a sense of us. And that shared culture, it's built in the tiny moments, the small, daily rituals. How you say goodbye in the morning, that walk you take every week, how you celebrate the little wins. Those rituals are like the bridge that connects your two individual worlds into a shared one.
Okay, so we've got the 7 principles for building a strong marriage. Now we have to flip the coin and look at the toxic patterns that can completely tear it apart. Gottman has this famous term for them, the 4 horsemen, and his research found that their presence is an incredibly accurate predictor that a relationship is in trouble.
The first horseman is criticism, and it's really important to know the difference between a criticism and a complaint. A complaint is about a specific thing. Hey, you didn't take out the trash. But criticism, that's a direct attack on your partner's character. You're so lazy, you never help. See the difference? It's a global attack that isn't about what they did, it's about who they are.
Next up is the second horseman, and according to Gottman, this is by far the most dangerous one: contempt. This is anything that comes from a place of superiority. We're talking sarcasm, mockery, eye-rolling, name-calling. And it is so important to understand that this is not just bad communication. Gottman calls it emotional poison because it's a direct attack on a person's dignity. It basically says, you are worthless to me.
So, what happens when you're hit with criticism or contempt? Well, our natural human reaction is to bring out the third horseman: defensiveness. It's that instant, it's not my fault, or trying to make excuses. But what that actually does is send a clear message: I'm not taking what you're saying seriously. It's really just a way to dodge responsibility. And a lot of the time, it's a sneaky way of blaming them right back. It just pours gasoline on the fire.
And finally, after going through these cycles over and over, one partner might just give up and bring out the 4th horseman: stonewalling. This is when someone completely withdraws from the conversation. They shut down, they stop responding, they basically put up a wall. Now, a lot of the time, this is a self-preservation response to that flooding we talked about earlier. But to the other person, it just feels like talking to a brick wall. But here's the good news. For every single one of these horsemen, there's a practical antidote. Instead of criticism, you use that gentle startup we talked about. Instead of contempt, you have to actively build a culture of appreciation and respect that literally starves contempt of oxygen. Instead of defensiveness, you find one tiny part of the problem you can take responsibility for. It's amazing how fast that de-escalates a fight. And instead of stonewalling, you recognize you're flooded and you agree to take a break to calm down before coming back to it. Okay, I know, this can feel like a lot of information. So where do you possibly begin? Look, the goal is not to become the perfect couple overnight. The goal is just to start changing the small, daily patterns. And we've got a simple, actionable plan to help you start, like, right now.
So for the next 7 days, just try these 5 things. 1. Ask one real question a day. Update that love map. 2. Say one specific thing you appreciate out loud. 3. When your partner makes a bid for connection, just pick one and give it your full attention. 4. Let your partner influence one decision. Doesn't matter how small. And 5. If a conflict starts, just try to use a softer startup. That's it. This isn't about being perfect. It's just about taking one small step to build a new, healthier pattern.
And really, that brings us to the punchline of all of Gottman's work. The whole point was never to have a marriage with 0 problems. That's a fantasy. The real goal is to build a friendship that's so strong, so full of respect and connection, that it can handle the storms that life is absolutely going to throw at you.
So you don't need to go home and fix your entire relationship this weekend. All you need to do is start to change the pattern one tiny choice at a time, because that's the real, hopeful truth in all of this. Love isn't some magical vibe or a big mystery. It's built. It's a set of daily choices. And those small, consistent patterns, well, that's what love is actually made of.